I'm Maxwell, and I'm a tracker. Animals and people, they're both fair game. I'm on a quest to track wild creatures in some of the most hostile environments on Earth. Among them are rare and endangered species, so I'll be joined by locals and experts to take on this mammoth challenge. Each journey is certain to be a breathtaking adventure, where I'll learn new skills and be pushed to the limit. But however determined I am, there are no guarantees. In this episode, I'll be learning new techniques.
In the world of tracking, this is something which is unique to snow and ice.
And use cover of darkness. All in the search for Eastern Europe's grey wolf.
Look at that. It's a fresh kill.
One of the most important parts of tracking is being able to adapt to new environments and changing situations. I've looked for animals in hot and cold conditions all over the world, but I've never tracked in snow and never in the freezing winters of Eastern Europe.
I've come to Poland, where I want to learn to track animals in wintry conditions. And where better to start than with Europe's apex predator, the wolf. It's always held a fear and fascination for me.
And this is the animal I'm after, a creature shrouded in myth and littered throughout folklore. So as well as learning what it's like to track in new conditions, I also want to separate fact from fiction as I get on the trail of this predator, an animal I've never seen before in the wild. After arriving in the capital Warsaw, I'm traveling for 6 hours northeast to Biebrzę National Park. Wolf are known to live here, so it's an excellent place to take on this challenge. And as always, local knowledge will give me the best chance of good results. So I'm joined by Artur, a local wildlife expert who works for the park.
So just look at the snow.
Isn't
It's
it?
the first time I've been tracking in snow, Artur.
Okay.
But let's have a look at this map, because I've got a quest.
So welcome to Biebrzę National Park, Max.
Thank you.
The whole Biebrzę Valley is divided into three basins: upper basin, middle basin, and lower basin. We are exactly, here in this forest complex.
So where should we start?
Well, we should spend as much time as we can, out in the forests and marshes to try to spot, some evidence, tracks, perhaps kill.
This is just a massive challenge. I'm just looking around a bit, the snow, and it's freezing cold here. So not only have we got these elusive, really wily wolves, but we've got the conditions against us. Freezing cold ice, wind, short days, it gets lighter really late in the morning, and the sun disappears about 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon.
As you know, wolves are very smart creatures, so I think we have to really work hard, to find signs or any evidence of wolf and the creature itself.
Okay, Artur, let's hit the road.
There are 23 national parks in Poland, but Biebrzę is the largest, covering an area of nearly 150 square miles. As we make our way into the park's lower basin to start our search, we see near the roadside one of the wolves' favorite prey.
This is just such a beautiful sight. It's so serene this time of the day in the snow. So that's an elk, is it?
What they call moose in the States, we call elk here in Europe. So actually, this is an elk, not a moose.
They're the same animals, different name.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
As this female heads off into the woods, it's an opportunity to see what happens to fresh tracks in the snow.
The interesting thing here is that snow is so different to soft sand in the desert because it breaks down a lot quicker. Now, this is the bit that I use for aging a track, and this is the bit that's so different in snow, is that this central ridge line down here, where there's no pressure, has fallen into the track straight away.
My first prints in Poland, and already tracking in snow is proving to be a stiff challenge. The rulebook is completely different. Information I would normally use to track just doesn't apply in the snow and ice. If I'm to find a wolf, I'll have to learn as much as I can from our tour while I'm here. So we continue to track this elk, the largest of the deer family. Elk normally congregate in single-sex herds, but expectant mothers often leave the herd to give birth and only return when the calf is strong enough to escape predators like the wolf. We eventually catch up and find she's returned to a calf no more than a year old. Now I can understand why she's kept us firmly in her sights.
And this is classic herbivore behavior. What they do is they get up and they go away and they keep their eyes on you because they like to know exactly where you are at all times. But you might get spooked and then she'll run off, turn around again at us. This is truly a beautiful sight.
I'm learning more about what might be the movements of a wolf by observing the behavior of its prey. It's a good start, but then we find something much more interesting.
This is brilliant. These are my first wolf tracks here in Poland. I'm so excited. This is the back footprint from the wolf. And the reason I know that is it's smaller than the other ones that are around. And this one's quite slender, quite small, but also there's the claw marks. The two toes at the front, two toes to the side, and then the hind pad at the back. That's how I know it's wolf and not dog.
We decide to follow the trail of this wolf deeper into the forest. The temperature today is freezing, and it's only possible to carry on because of the cold weather clothes we're wearing. But although staying warm is vital, sometimes that can have a downside as well. Take this headgear, for example.
One thing about tracking here, I hate these hats, but you got to wear them because it's so cold. You kind of take away your senses. I can't hear and I can't feel as much.
Eventually the trail breaks out into the open, but the freezing conditions are making my task difficult.
Well, I've come to the end of the trail here, but sometimes the bigger picture is more important. The trails run out on this icy road, but I can see just ahead of me is like a marsh area. If I was a wolf, thinking just like a wolf, I'd keep to the cover of this forest I've just tracked through, and then at the last moment, get over there and have a good look around.
It's a hunch that seems worth following, so we head towards the open marshes. We're looking now for any evidence that might help us pick up the trail, and sometimes the behavior of other animals can be a great guide.
I've just heard some ravens. This is just what I'm looking for. In this terrain, things are hard to find, but there could be a wolf killed just around the corner and out there in the open.
Ravens will often follow wolf packs in the hope of feeding off their kill, but wolves will also watch for circling ravens as a sign of possible food below. And then my suspicions are proved correct.
There's our animal remains, but the last thing I do is go straight to it. What I'm going to do now is a quick circuit, of course, looking into the bushes, but I'm hoping I'm going to pick up some fresh tracks coming in and getting away from that kill.
I look around, but there aren't any obvious wolf tracks yet. And on closer inspection, apart from a few bird pecks, this carcass is completely intact.
This is an elk calf. And I just wonder, it just died from a disease or something. If this was a pack of a wolf here, you know, I'm pretty sure half of the carcass would be already eaten, you know.
Not finding a kill is a disappointment, but this body can still be of use to us.
We've got this whole sort of dried up or frozen marshland ahead of us, bounded by trees. I think this is a good place to put a camera trap up that will capture any sort of image or movement of any other animals.
Camera traps are an excellent tool when tracking animals, but only if there's somewhere to mount them.
You got your axe.
Anywhere else in the world, you just put that into the ground. Arthur, what we do normally is we just put the camera trap up and we make sure it's got a good view of the animal. But we seem to be making an extraordinary effort here to keep the impact or view of it as small as possible. Why is that?
Well, when you look around, you can see it's very flat. So whatever is, you know, half a meter and above, it's immediately, you know, noticeable. Those animals which live here, you know, they sort of remember this area, you know, how it looks. They have a picture in mind, you know. So whatever there is something new, it looks already, you know, a bit suspicious, and they might be, you know, a bit afraid of it.
With our camera trap set, we move away from this dead elk so our equipment can blend into the surroundings. As we head back through the marshes, it's a chance for me to learn more about the wolf and its habitat.
What a glorious landscape this is, Arthur.
The wolves, they use both forests and the marshes as well. Most of the time they occupy the woods, the forests. They can, you know, dig a hole and build a nest there. And then for hunting, of course, they may do both. They may hunt in the forest as well as here out in the marshes.
Well, this is classical behavior with a predator coming in from the forest to find its food in an open area. What would a wolf eat?
Red deer and roe deer appear to be a main prey of the wolves, but of course they wouldn't mind, you know, to eat an elk. That's a huge portion of meat. They wouldn't mind to eat, you know, a brown hare if they catch it. Over vegetation season, they wouldn't mind to eat, you know, just simply, you know, berries.
So the #1 predator in the area, the wolf, eats berries. That's surprising.
Well, they do it just over vegetation season, and of course they don't do it permanently. I mean, once in a while they have to catch, you know, some big herbivore, but they wouldn't mind, you know, to eat berries. So why not?
The more I learn about the wolf, the more I'm struck by the resourcefulness and endurance of this creature. 80% of Poland is rural. Incredibly, there are as many farms here as in the whole of the United States. And Biebrzę is no exception. Together with its surrounding buffer zone, the park is home to around 1,000 small holdings. I want to know what it's like to live so close to the wolf, so I've come to meet Christoph.
Hi, I'm Max.
I invite to my
Oh,
home.
fantastic.
He's an artisan who lives here in the park.
This is an amazing place. Look at it.
It is very old house.
That's a witch with a kind of evil person, is it?
Sometimes in the marshes I saw.
You've seen a witch?
Yes, by night.
You saw a witch at night. I think we're in for a real treat here with folklore and information. He's seen a witch, and we've only got to the steps. Let's keep going. This is amazing. This is like a fairy story. It's like a Hansel and Gretel house in the middle of the woods, right in the heart of wolf country. It must be quite a spooky place to live in at night, in the heart of dark of winter.
I like winter. I like winter. I like it's difficult life. I like difficult life.
Fantastic.
Sometimes I see wolf and elks. Elks every day. Wolf sometimes. Sometimes go to near my home.
The predator wolf can have a serious image problem, but Christoph has found them more shy and fearful of humans than aggressive, and threatening. He treasures the times when he's been able to see them, and along the way he's picked up a few interesting wolf remains.
Was this an adult wolf?
This is old wolf.
Now this is crucial information for me, because if you come across a wolf kill, what I want to do is look at the bite across there, from the top canines to the bottom canines. That's really important information, because if you come across a kill or a carcass, looking at it, we might be able to see where the teeth went into.
In the past, Christoph has seen wolves near his home. I want to check out the area, and we find what for a tracker can only be described as a magical place. It's a small field covered in snow, and it's full of tracks.
I'm used to tracking in hot areas of the world, the jungles and deserts, but tracking here in the snow can be quite easy. And the reason for that is, just here, we've got this blank piece of paper, and tracks show up on it, look like it's been done with black ink. The angle of the sun is so low, it shows all the tracks up really well. Now what I want to do is to go in and see what's in there. So what have we got here?
This looks like a roe deer.
Yeah.
Because it's a small
I
print.
can see some of the cleaves.
Yeah.
This is fascinating, because literally anything that's come through here is
So
shown
many
up,
of
isn't
them,
it?
yeah. You are right.
There's a saying in tracking, if you find the prey, you find the predator. This field is covered in tracks made by animals we know wolves feed on. The wolves themselves can't be far away.
It's of course an elk.
Do you think that's a male or a female elk?
I think that's a male. It's really big print.
Ah, this is the first brown hair track I've seen in snow, but it's so obvious, isn't it? You can see the slipper shape, the size of a finger. That's brilliant. That's lovely to see.
There's another one here.
Oh, look at that.
Seems to be a fox, like a straight line, a small print. Here there's two tracks crosses. So one is fox and the other one is red deer.
Red deer. So everything is just converging in here, isn't it? In just a few minutes tracking on the snow, which is absolutely perfect, we found loads of animals. We found fox, red deer, roe deer, elk, brown hare, wild boar, but no wolf. Come on, let's go and track. Just love it here. So many animals.
So many
Yeah,
animals,
it's
so
really
many
brilliant.
trucks. Just in one little field.
Well, it's only because the field has captured them, isn't it? It
Oh,
means
yeah.
that they're out there. It's just they've left their prints here.
Although there's no sign of wolves, this field has been a great example of how the conditions in Poland can make finding tracks easy. But it's not just prints that can give away the location of an animal.
Archie, is this the European wood ant?
That's right, yeah.
So what
An
happens
anthill.
here? What's this?
Oh, well, that's a typical anthill, you know. Of course, now they are, let's say, hibernating, you know, down in the ground. But, you know, as early as spring arrives, the first, you know, sun comes in and they will be awakened. They do a good job, you know, for the forest. These are just dried needles of a spruce.
This is so different to the UK, because in the UK, the southern wood ant, even now in the winter, is active. And if you did that, they'd all come to the surface. They go right deep inside to hibernate. Come the summer, this is going to be really busy, quite noisy, I think, as well, isn't it? With the
Yeah,
crackling.
yeah.
The cold weather clearly has an effect on the behavior of the animals that live here, but it can also alter their tracks.
Oh, these look interesting. These look like dog tracks, definitely canine.
This is fox, you know, and the print looks much more bigger than it is in reality, but this is mainly because of the snow is melting, and then it makes, you know, the print a bit bigger, you know, than normally, and it might be a bit confusing.
So that's something we've got to watch out for. This track here, it started to melt from the inside out, and then tonight it might freeze over again. Tomorrow the sun comes up, it starts to melt from the inside out again, so progressively the track gets bigger and bigger and bigger. In the world of tracking, this is something which is unique to snow and ice.
Again, I'm finding that tracking here involves a whole new set of rules. The more I find, the more there is for me to learn. We've located good animal tracks, but disappointingly, so far, no wolf. But sometimes in tracking, all it takes is a lucky break before you're back on the trail.
Wow, Archer, look at these.
Fantastic.
Wolf prints.
Well, this is just brilliant and so clearly defined. How do we age this track?
Well, you can see this print, you know, it's like very deep. So what you can read from it, it's both the animal was heavy and the snow was soft, because you can see it got as deep as down to the ground. You can see even, you know, some sand here between the print, right? So these days temperature drops down below zero over the nighttime, so you can see the soft snow already got frozen. So this print might be I don't know, 3-4 days old, something like that.
This track of a lone male is a great result. Then it gets even better.
Just look at these tracks.
There's more than one wolf here.
First of all, we had one set. Now we're getting convergence of more than one wolf. This is a pack, and it almost looks to me like they're quite anxious. Their stride is very small. Maybe getting into hunting formation. I don't know, but we'll find out more.
A wolf pack cannot increase its size forever, so young adults will leave the pack to find a mate, and it's through this dispersal that wolves avoid the problems of inbreeding.
The pack was probably hunting, you know, as you can see, sometimes with just one line of the truck, sometimes we see as the pack just split it. So that they were definitely hunting.
But this is a nightmare to track because they're all over the place and they're just disappearing off into the pine needles, turning left and turning right. So I think we'll go and see what we can find, yeah?
Let's try it.
It's clear that wherever we go, from snow to fields to marshland, tracks are behaving differently. And now I'm finding that woodland also has a significant effect on our ability to follow a trail.
These are getting harder and harder to find. Just a minute ago we were running on them because they're so defined in the snow and so deep. But the temperature here is different within these pine trees. So the tracks are getting much more shallow. And I've got one here, but I'm gonna have to follow them one by one. But it's heading through these pine needles and that's almost impossible to track through.
We keep up the search, but it's soon clear that to continue looking for clues is pointless.
This is my worst nightmare, is losing the tracks of a wolf that was so hot at one point. But coming through these pine needles, there's a hunting formation going on, so they split off, they come back together again. So I'm going to cut my losses here and find these other tracks.
Although it may be the end of the road for this trail, it isn't for our chances of seeing a wolf. As well as being expert hunters, wolves are known to scavenge for their food. And with the recently dead elk on the marshes, we may have better luck with the camera traps we set earlier. As night falls, we make our way back to the open marsh. I hope the camera traps have had more luck than me in being able to witness this incredibly shy creature.
We've got some video on the camera trap. Oh, that's a bit messy, actually. All the guts are pulled out. Pulled out this way, like that.
We return to the hotel to view the tapes. Will they reveal my first wolf in Poland?
Oh, there's some wildlife. I can see some ravens here. Oh, here comes another raven performing for the camera. And they're kind of hopping around. And he's gone. Been out there tracking in the snow and ice all the while that the camera trap is out. I was so looking forward to maybe getting a wolf walking in on this. would have been the icing on the cake after all that hard work, but that's it. I've gone through them all. I really had my fingers crossed, but all we got so far is Raven.
We got room?
No luck so far, so we're going to go north to find another pack of wolves, and maybe our luck will change.
There are thought to be around 100 packs of wolves in Poland, the largest population in Central Europe. Jaguar National Park should be a great place to look for them, but with no luck in its southern basin, I'm travelling to the middle, where wolves are also known to roam. But before we resume tracking, Artur has a treat for me at a nearby wildlife park. It may help in the search for this elusive predator.
This is really exciting because I know that there's a wolf in here really close, and my heart is just racing because I can see it there. It's just in there.
There's a saying that the wolf sees you 4 times before you see it. It's an unnerving thought.
There's something that really scares me about wolves, and I can't explain it clearly. My palms of my hands are sweating. It's the first time I've ever seen a wolf. And I just can't explain it. There's some deep feeling about it, and I think it's because just before I saw it, it kind of poked its ears up. I saw its ears first, and then it kind of looked. It's an eerie feeling, but it's such a beautiful creature. And their nose is always going and the ears are up. Spooky feeling.
This wildlife park at Kadzilova covers 40 square miles, and it's home to many animals, among them wild horses, deer, buffaloes, moose, and of course, the wolf. There are 4 in this enclosure, but in the wild they live in close family packs of anywhere between 6 to 15 members. Getting this close not only helps me to understand something about their behavior, but also how to recognize better the evidence they leave behind.
One of the good things about coming to this enclosure, it gives me a chance to look at things like scat or animal feces in much more detail. Artur, there's some scat down here, and I just wondered if that could be a mark of territory.
This is one of the way how wolves mark the territory, yeah.
And once they put it down, do they scratch like a dog?
They may, yes, they may. Not always, but they may. But they also, scratch the ground, and this is another sign how they mark the territory.
These captive wolves may live for up to 16 years. In the wild, around 10 years is more common. It's been wonderful seeing them in the flesh, but it's time I got on the trail of some wild specimens. So we leave the enclosure behind to continue my search for the wolf. We're on our way to meet a ranger in the middle basin of the park. But rangers aren't the only ones here who may have good information for us.
We're just going to stop this tractor and talk to one of the guys who's on it, because locals might have loads of information. Hi.
Grzewać jest?
How are you?
Jest rozgrzewać?
Good to meet you.
Drink jest?
Drink?
Cold no.
Vodka?
Jest.
Ah, this is good. This is what, early in the morning. This gentleman's offered me some vodka. Thanks.
This reed cutter is certainly high in spirits, and he's happy to share a story of a close encounter with a wolf.
A teraz tylko są ślady, bo to jest w innym kierunku do Trzcin.
So 2 years ago, when we were going out, to the marshes early in the morning, there was no track, on the dike we were walking on. On the way back, we noticed, a fresh track of wolves. So, we went and we followed, the track for a little while, and then I noticed, the wolf just jumping out of the willow bushes.
No widział, on szedł mi, bo jak ja szedłem prosto, my szli w tym kierunku, a on szedł z tego kierunku. I on szedł tu za krzak.
They tried to follow him, and of course the wolf ran away.
Jest taka zasada, że mówi się boi człowiek się boi wilka, a wilk nie jest groźny dla otoczenia w ogóle. O, Luke, widzisz to, a na rysunku to wiesz jaka robota. No, zobaczyć z bliska, to jest różnica.
His observation was it's just like the wolf wasn't really afraid of human, and the other way around, they weren't also afraid, of the wolf. What people might be afraid of is, wolf howling, in winter time, right? That's because, it brings the fear that, it's like, you are a bit, shaking when you hear a wolf howling.
Strasznie mocno. Taką wyje, o.
It's very scary. It's very scary.
I can just imagine what it's like out here on your own cutting with the wolf howling just like that around you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye.
It's great to hear stories like this, but this sighting was old and no indication that wolves are still in the area. But fortunately for me, the local ranger, Piet, has some fantastic news. Fresh wolf tracks and not far away.
Pyta o te małe kryształki, jak długo czasu potrzeba, żeby wiedzieć.
Około jednego dnia. Wczoraj po południu, aż do trawy na tym mokrym śniegu.
Piotr has brought us to an area and he's suddenly gone into tracker mode. I'm a newbie, a bit green behind the ears with tracking in snow, so I'm probably going to learn a lot from this guy. Right, so we're looking at these tracks here, and how old do you think they are?
Jak myślisz, z jakiego?
Około jednego dnia. Wczoraj po południu, przed południem.
It's just like, last evening. This track was left here when the snow was very, very soft.
Yeah.
And for the last, few nights, we have temperature below zero, which means that, the soft snow got harder. And then when you walk on it now, even when you make a step, it doesn't go, deep into the snow.
Because of these conditions, the track has a timestamp. Ice crystals are formed after the track was made, and that could only have happened with the drop in temperature last night.
Just like, you leave your vehicle, in the evening and the windshield is clear, then you come in the morning and you got frost on it.
I knew I was going to learn something completely new here, something I hadn't even thought about. To me, when you've got something inside a track that's kind of looking slightly randomized, means that it's old. Here, crystals have started to grow, but they weren't here yesterday before the sun went away, so we are onto tracks that are less than 1 day old.
So already in this new search area, we have a fantastic result. Wolf tracks left within the last 24 hours. We continue to follow the trail of this wolf, and then we come across evidence I've never encountered before.
Otto, what have we got here?
This is wolf's urine. Now, during mating season, very often they mark territory like this,
I'm just going to do something which in tracking, it's bizarre, but I'm going to have a sniff to see what it smells like so I can recognize it later on. Oh, okay. What does it smell like?
Cheeseburger.
That's a good description, like a cheeseburger. It smells unusual. Cheeseburger. It's a good description. It's a cheeseburger. Okay, let's go.
The dot to dot of this trail leads us out onto the marshes. And then we strike gold, an area covered in signs of wolf activity.
What have we got here? This is the first time I've seen anything like this at all.
Beautiful place, look. We can find a lot of information here. It's a sort of like, a playground of wolves. You can see that's urine here, this yellowish snow, which indicates that, that's a sort of marking place. So they mark the territory. You have to still bear in mind that, it's a mating time. We've got some hares.
First contact. So this could indicate that there was mating going on here.
Yeah.
When the alpha male and female mate, they will often nibble and groom each other. So this hare is a sign that they are either about to mate or have just recently mated. If successful, after around 2 months, the female will produce a litter of up to 6 cubs, and they'll be provided for by the whole pack.
They were lying around here.
Yeah, they were lying down, playing together. You can see the snow is kind of smashed.
How long ago do you think?
It's not that old. Maybe last night, yeah, something like that, because we've got this snow crystals already, or ice crystals. But it doesn't look very old.
How many wolves do you think have been here?
Well, 4 or 5.
This is really exciting. We're getting lots of tracks and scat and feces. Now we've got this layup point, possible mating. So this is a fascinating find, but it's at the end of the day and we've wandered far out into these marshes and I can see it's getting dark. I think we should head back now, don't you?
We better go.
Okay, let's go.
Crossing the treacherous marsh at night will be dangerous and we don't want to be caught out. So with dusk nearing, the wolf will have to wait for tomorrow. Piet has given us a great head start in our search for wolves in this new area. I feel we are close, but they're still proving tricky to find. So before we return to the marsh, I'm going to try a new tactic.
This kettle should boil up in a minute or two and we're away.
This storm kettle is a useful device when you're out in the wild. It's made of 2 layers of metal and a hollow core. You light a fire in the middle, which is protected from the wind, and the water that surrounds it heats up quickly. But a warming cup of tea isn't my only motive for using this device.
The benefit of this is you can get some smoke on yourself, which disguises all kinds of smells. And the reason for that, animals can smell the scent, washing powder or soap, toothpaste, all that kind of stuff from a long distance. But I cover myself with the smoke because it's a natural smell, and nature doesn't get worried about the smell of smoke. Oh, kettle's boiled.
Na zdrowie.
Na zdrowie.
We've now done as much as we can to prepare for tracking these elusive creatures. We've studied their behavior, we have the most up-to-date local knowledge, and we've covered up our scent with smoke. But there are some things we have no control over.
Well, the weather's just changed and the pressure's dropped and there's rain coming in at the moment, so I'm going to put on waterproof trousers. But on top of the waterproof trousers, I'm going to put some camouflage because these are black. Black is the worst colour to wear in the forest, and the reason for that is it becomes a big moving blob. Something lighter, like an orange or something, at least some shadows are cast on that. So I'm going to cover the black up with this green here.
With the weather taking a turn for the worse, any good omens are more than welcome.
I'm just reading here, this viewing tower is situated in the central part of the Middle Basin on top of a dune named Jaguar. What is that?
Jaguar, it means exactly a wolf hill.
Wolf Hill. Well, that's got to be good luck because I'm sure not far from here we're going to find some wolf tracks. And now in these horrible wet conditions, we've got to track them down. Come on, let's go.
Let's do it.
Heading back towards yesterday's marsh, we find new clues, and lots of them.
What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get down and have a look at this line of wolves because they're coming from all over the place. One going that way, converging. One thing for sure, that this is a major trail. A road is always a good place to look, but to get a feel for where they're walking, I'm just going to go down a little bit lower and see what happens. 1, 2, 3. These tracks were all put down at the same time. There's one line which goes along here, another one there, another one there. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then there's one wolf which has gone down this direction. So it could be wolf number 4. Arthur, what do you think?
Could be a whole pack, so 4, maybe 5, as they can step. They can, walk into the same steps one after another. So
This is exciting because we're on a trail, a good territorial area for a wolf. They can travel very quickly and almost silently on this road.
This is a strong lead, So we follow, and then we find more evidence.
This wolf scat right here is a very good territorial marking, just a little bit higher than everything else. And that increases our chances dramatically.
I feel I'm getting closer to these wolves. Then, a sign that I'm on the right track.
There's a white-tailed eagle just flying over the horizon there. It was chased by some ravens. But one thing I know about the white-tailed eagle, it scavenges as well. So I think we're getting into an area. Ravens are fighting with the white-tailed eagle. The wolf trails are moving all over the place here. It's just a matter of hours, maybe minutes before something happens. This is such a hot trail, you just got to follow your nose sometimes.
And then, my best find yet.
Look at that. It's a fresh kill.
Look at that.
The question in my mind, Arthur, was it a death by natural cause and then scavenged by the wolves, or did the wolves take it down?
It's difficult to say just looking at this carcass, you know.
After a quick scan of the area, I could see a crime scene unfolding. My gut feeling is that it was killed by a pack of wolves.
But the most important thing now is to go away from the carcass and work out the battlefield and see if I can put together this whole murder mystery. I've got some wolf tracks here. They're not all that clear, but there's one there, and then one there. And then these leaves are in a pattern, but these ones here are disturbed. They're much darker, kind of churned up, and also some of these green bits are pushed over. And we've got a natural trail and some natural cover. Now linking that together with some tracks behind us, and the fact that it actually pops up to where the elk is, leads me to think that this is the route that they used for their cover going into the attack mode. Just around this tree, there's a huge amount of disturbance. I can see the grass has moved in different directions. Here, for example, it's been pushed back, and these bits of greenery have been completely crushed. So, going by that, this is where a violent attack took place, and from here on in, the elk's fate was sealed. There's mouthfuls of fur. Maybe more wolves would have joined the fight here. Another bite, shoom. Now we're getting fur all over the place, more mouthfuls, more jaws. And the wolves start to feed on his soft stomach first. And this brown stuff here is the stomach contents, half-digested food. And that is where the elk died. The elk was then dragged by the wolves into this depression here in the fight for food and into an area they thought they had more cover.
This is a superb find. I feel I'm now hot on the trail and definitely getting closer to the wolf. But with my trip nearing its end, I don't have much time left. So I need to try a different approach. I'm going to let the wolf find me. And for that, I must wait for the cover of darkness.
I come back to a hotspot that we identified earlier on. Some sand and some tracks that kill nearby. I've got something here to try and get them to call back. The predator caller. All I've got to do now is turn this on, pull out the call, and see if they call back.
All hopes are now pinned on this piece of kit if I'm going to find a wolf here in Poland.
On a still night like tonight, the sound carries a huge distance, and they've got such sensitive ears. Now, it's just a question of seeing whether they respond to this call. Keep my ears open. I know they're out there somewhere. Will I get them? I hope so. silent out there now.
And then, at last, in the far distance, we have the sound of a whole pack of wolves.
Did you hear that? Listen to that howl. It was like the whole pack was calling, but then one really strong howl. It's just a full moon, but it's surrounded by a haze, and I think that's what they're howling at. The wolves are coming in this direction. I could hear them howling from where we were yesterday. There's only one way out of that place, and it's in this direction, along this road. I know they were hunting here nearby. There's a really good chance they're going to come closer. Fingers crossed that they could pop up so close to us. And I say, that's like a kid at a fairground. I really want to go on that ride, but when you actually go on it, it's really scary.
An amazing result. We have actually made contact and we have a whole pack of wolves calling. But just when I think it can't get any better than this,
this is amazing, you know. We hear two packs. One was calling from over there. This one is even closer to us. And this is for the first time we hear this pack over here. That's excellent. This pack is probably the one we were following this morning.
with the use of the predator caller, we have attracted not just the attention of one pack, but incredibly 2 packs of wolves, and we are right in the middle. But I fear this is as close as I'm going to get to this sensitive and elusive creature. It was hard going, but I finally tracked the wolves down for a moonlit serenade. I've had an amazing experience in Biebsha National Park. Although the wolf was just one step ahead of me, and I didn't get that fleeting glimpse I was hoping for, we weren't far off. It was really exciting. I've just had an amazing time, but now it's time for me to leave Poland, and I want to come back and get those wolves. I'm Ian Maxwell, and I'm a tracker. Animals and people, they're both fair game. I'm on a quest to track wild creatures in some of the most hostile environments on Earth. Among them are rare and endangered species, so I'll be joined by locals and experts to take on this mammoth challenge. Each journey is certain to be a breathtaking adventure, where I'll learn new skills and be pushed to the limit. But however determined I am, there are no guarantees. In this episode, I'll face challenging conditions. This treacherous waterfall just keeps going on and on in my search for the critically endangered Sumatran rhino. Growing up in Africa has given me the privilege of seeing and tracking some of the planet's most amazing animals. Among these are rhino. There are 5 species of this animal in the world, and 4 are seriously endangered. I've been lucky enough to track both the endangered black and the vulnerable white rhino in the African bush. But one I'm desperate to cross off my list is the critically endangered Sumatran rhino. There are fewer than 300 of them left in the wild.
Nonetheless, I will try and make the flight as comfortable as possible.
Well, I've traveled thousands of miles to be here, and I'm in Borneo. I might have bitten off more than I could chew, because I'm just looking out the window. All I can see is cloud, and poking up through that is rainforest. And I'm sure it's a tough environment to track in. It's full of snakes, it's slippery, it's dangerous, just hard work. And sometimes you don't see daylight for days. Well, tracking is all about a challenge, and for me, the best result would be to find this animal so shy and so well concealed that a small amount of information might be vital to its conservation and future existence. So after arriving in the capital, Kota Kinabalu, or KK, I'll be heading east to Taban Wildlife Reserve, where I'll be looking for the rhino in Borneo's rainforest. It's ideal country for rhino, but a grueling challenge for humans. So to prepare for my trip, I'm first traveling 10 miles outside of KK to Langkawi Wildlife Park to see one of these rhino in the flesh.
For a tracker, it's really important to get to know the animal that you're after, to get to know what its hoof prints are like and how it behaves in the jungle. And here at Langkawi Wildlife Park, I've got the rare opportunity to see one of the few Sumatran rhinos in captivity in the world. I'm really, really excited about it, to get up close and personal and to get into that pen. Just a few meters from here, I'm off.
But first, a change of footwear is required. I've seen many rhinos before, but not once have I had to wear rubber boots. Sumatran rhino love mud, and it's an ominous sign for my trip.
Ah, Dr. Sen, Max, good to meet you.
Here to see the rhino?
Fantastic.
After caring for this rhino for the past 7 years, Dr. Sen is used to this muddy swamp.
I could see this going horribly wrong.
But this trickly sludge also has its advantages.
I can't resist. Immediately I've come in here, I can see rhino tracks.
You can see how three-toed hoof print of the rhino is very similar to all rhinos. Shall we?
Wow, look at that! I've tracked rhino in Africa before, and I know the white and black rhino extremely well. And this little fellow here is so incredibly different. First of all, the horn is much shorter. Really short little legs and quite a short little body. Pretty hairy as well.
Already I can see there are clear differences between this rhino and the white and black of Africa I know so well. At 700 kilos, they're about a quarter of the size of the African rhinos and seem far more docile, but some things about them are exactly the same.
A good indication of the senses the animal uses is the size of what it uses to sense. So one of the first features I noticed on her were the size of her nostrils when she flays. So she's got huge nostrils, means that she uses those a lot. And it's the same with the white and black. And the ears, again, are always on a radar. And just looking at her now, she does look rather relaxed. And would that be the behavior in the wild like that?
Yes. This would exactly what you would be seeing a Sumatran rhino doing around 10 o'clock after breakfast.
Yeah.
He or she would be wallowing in here. And this wallowing plays two purposes. You know, bigger animals have more difficulty in losing their heat. So the mud cools the body down and also keeps the flies away. And in the forest, you've got some severe biting flies that can actually do a lot of nuisance, can be a lot of nuisance.
How difficult is it going to be to find the Sumatran rhino in the wild?
Can I be totally honest with you?
Yeah.
It's probably easier to find a needle in a haystack. But I myself have never ever seen a rhino in the wild. I've seen hoof prints. You'll be really lucky if you see hoof prints. I mean, with all God's honesty, really lucky if you see hoof prints. But to see an animal, it would be, you have to be, I mean, you'll be really lucky, extremely lucky.
With so few of them, this is definitely my biggest challenge yet. And I'm not going to be helped by the rhino's preferred habitat.
One thing I noticed with Dr. Sen, he's not taking his eye off that rhino for a second. How quickly can they accelerate in this mud?
Faster than us.
Right, faster than us. And that could be fun because I'm stuck here for good. I'm sunk so deep. And
probably, Max. The longer we stay in one place, the deeper we get.
I've now seen 3 of the 5 species of rhino. But to tick this one off my list, I need to track it in the wild. So next stop, Borneo's treacherous rainforest. To increase my chances, I'll be joined by Dr. Thaya, a leading expert with an organization called SOS Rhino.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, good to meet you.
Then it's off to meet the rest of the expedition team. Borneo is the 3rd largest island in the world. It's made up of Brunei, a small country to the north, and the states of 2 other countries in the region, Indonesia and Malaysia. The Sumatran rhino is a rare creature. There are now fewer than 50 of them left in the whole of Borneo. It's an animal in crisis, and I've been warned that to see even one is almost impossible. But I won't be put off. To take on this challenge, I'm heading to Tabon, nearly 500 square miles of wildlife reserve and home to just 20 rhinos. But when we run out of road, we're still a long way from our final destination.
We're at the end of the trail and we're at SOS Rhino's headquarters. Now what I've got to do is unpack everything, repack it, because the porters have got to take it into the jungle. It's a huge operation.
There's a lot to do and everyone has to pull their weight.
I've got to make sure everything gets packed, because when we get into the jungle, if we haven't packed something like a hammock with a rain cover, I'm going to be in real trouble. And I know one thing for sure, you've got to be really comfortable in the jungle.
And there's one essential I can't do without.
That's really important. Tea bags. Got to have that in the bush. Got everything? I think we should head off.
The rest of our journey is on foot, so we head out into the jungle of Tabon Reserve. We have a day's hike ahead of us, and we need to make good time to reach base camp before dark. The Sumatran rhino is in the crash phase of existence. They don't live together in social groups, so as their numbers decline, so do their opportunities to breed. But doing all they can to ensure their survival is SOS Rhino. This non-profit foundation and organizations like them are essential to raising both public awareness and the funds needed for the protection of this animal. Monitoring and protection programs are at the heart of their work. So Dr. Thaya and his team spend a lot of time in the field in the heat of the Borneo jungle. But the rhino is just one of the animals that helps to make Borneo's rainforest one of the most biodiverse environments on the planet. Some are rare, others are just too easy to find.
I've just taken a break in the jungle to adjust my leech socks, just as well I'm wearing, because they're absolutely full of leeches. They dropped into there, look. Ah. One, two. Worth every single penny we paid for these leech socks. They're brilliant.
There are three kinds of leech here: the common variety, the tiger, and the Kinabalu giant red leech, all with one thing in common: a thirst for fresh blood. Eventually, after a 6-hour hike, we arrive at our home for the next few days.
That was hard work getting here. This is what we call base camp. We've been through the jungle for hours to get here. It's been really tough. I got bitten by some leeches. The blood is pouring out of them. So all I want to do now is settle down, have a cup of tea, and get ready to start tracking. Look at that. They're all over the place. Pull it off the sucker, roll it up, throw it into there.
Dr. Thaya's team has used this location for the last 2 years. They return every month to look for evidence and record the movement of any rhino they find. And it's an ideal spot, close to fresh water and in striking distance of several mud wallows, the rhino's favorite place to hang out. But Dr. Thaya has worked out that only some are active. It's these that his team monitors at least once a month. We're going to hike to these wallows to see if any rhino are there. It's vital we can predict where they will be and how they'll move through this terrain.
The rhinos usually coming in a certain time of period into the same area. We can go tomorrow to the place and place the camera in the active wallows and the trails. Rhino, they maintain their pond trails.
That's what I wanted to hear. That's good news, because then we can get them into a corridor funnel. That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant news.
It's an encouraging sign, but Dr. Thayer warns me to prepare for bitter disappointment. In his 4 years of looking for this rhino, he has seen only one. It took months of fieldwork, patience, and a huge amount of luck to get his sighting. So what are the chances I'll succeed? But with the aid of technology, I have the slim hope of getting a result.
I've got 6 of these camera traps, and they'll take a moving image of anything that goes past it. But the thing for us, trackers, is eyes on the ground, what we call dirt time, getting the distance in and making a really good choice, especially because of camera traps.
Yes.
So we're increasing our chances hugely, aren't we?
Hugely, yeah.
Fantastic.
The next day, we head off to the first of the mud wallows to put our plan into action. On the way, I'm also looking for prints and other signs I would normally pick up when I'm tracking. But the deeper I head into the forest, the more I realize how difficult this is going to be.
From a tracker's point of view, being in the jungle is a nightmare. Often I can't see more than a few feet either side. It's just like some canyon walls. And techniques I use in other parts of the world, like watching the bird language, circling vultures may indicate where a kill is. But here, it's so enclosed that it's impossible to see what the birds are doing.
Because of the dense canopy, the techniques I find so useful in other parts of the world are not working so well here. And I'm even having problems with high-tech tracking methods.
Now we're definitely off the trail and we're cutting through this vegetation. We've been following a GPS for a little while, but the GPS doesn't show contours, and it looks by the vegetation behind me that it drops off to a sudden valley. So we've had some debating, and we're going to have to make the hard decision to head back up, backtrack, and then maybe down.
The more we track, the more the scale of this challenge is growing. We've been hiking for hours and we're still trying to reach just one of the wallows identified by Dr. Thayer. And then we find great evidence, a sign we're closing in.
Sumatran rhino have the speciality that they will be chop the edging, so they eat these all plants in this area.
This is very different to the black rhino, which feeds the same browses off the top of the plants. The black rhino cuts things through really clearly, but this guy seems to almost chew away at the external bark, for example here.
We're getting closer and closer to the first wallow. These rhinos are extremely sensitive to any disturbance, so Dr. Thayer and his team have developed a way to communicate non-verbally. One of them silently pushes onto the wallow to see if any rhinos are there, while Dr. Thayer waits for news. I have to be patient at this crucial moment. But no rhino this time, so we make our way onwards to the first wallow.
It's like a cave-like feature. What's happening? Why is that there?
Okay, what rhino do that they will be make a wallow under the trees, so they want the shade actually to spend. Then using their horn, they will be make it like a cave, and that usually they will be stay inside the cave under the mud, so it's more cooling place for them.
No wonder these rhinos are so hard to find. Not only are they in the rainforest to hide away from the sun, but they also dig caves in the mud. This is a perfect place for a camera trap. All I've got to do now is set up the angle, see what happens. There we go. I think that's perfect, Doc. Bang on. Fingers crossed.
We reached the wallow and have set up our first camera trap, but it's taken us all day to get here. The conditions have been a real struggle for us all. It's clear we need a change of strategy to make the best use of our time and resources. When we finally return to base camp, it's a welcome relief from the relentless hiking.
Well, this is home from home. This is where I sleep, and it's just absolutely covered with water.
Got my hammock here with mosquito nets to keep the bugs out at night, but the mud is just absolutely everywhere. Look at that, my shoes. And I've had to build a special little tray to stand on. But moving over here, we've got the rangers' accommodation, which is just a tarpaulin over some beds. Now, as we move down through the camp, just be really careful here. It's so slippy and so muddy. This is where we keep all the kit. We've had to build this up just to keep it dry. But just look at the floor here, how muddy that is. And we put leaves down to kind of bind it all in, but it doesn't keep the leeches away. Right, let's go down here. This is our canteen where all the cooking is done for all of the crew and the support crew, the whole lot. The guy's putting the kettle on. Now down here, this is really interesting. Whoops. Just check that mud, absolutely everywhere. And here's the crew. Simon, busily cleaning out a camera. How's it going, guys? One down, two going. One down. And Simon's just showing some scars from a leech bite. Let's have a look, Simon. Yeah, thanks for calling. But I gotta say, these guys do a brilliant job. Without them, the Rangers, life would be absolutely horrible here. The following day, we have a new plan. Local cameraman Simon will form a second team with two of our guides.
Breakfast of kings.
Dr. Thai and I will continue our search together. It's a really muggy day. Could be good for us, but I gotta say, to start the day off like this is gonna be really tough. So, what should we do, Dr. Thai?
So one team is going to be head towards the eastern territory, then he's going to be turned into cover these all flat areas, and so we are going to go up towards the western side, and we are going to be reached one of the all logging road. Then we are going to cover that area to find the signs of rhino.
Using two teams will allow us to reach all the wallows more quickly. At each wallow, both teams will have two chances of finding a rhino as they approach the wallow itself, and also by leaving a camera trap to record activity while we're not there. If a rhino visits one of the wallows in the next few days, we'll know about it. But being able to find them in the first place is still a huge challenge. Tracking is not all about just following footprints in the ground and mud. More often than not, you can lose the trail completely. What's happening now is the local rangers who've lost the trail, so they're spreading out, they're casting out all over the place. We hope that they'll find a pathway or trail going through the jungle that will lead us to a wallow. Meanwhile, Simon and his team are still making their way to their first wallow.
Well, it's tough work today. I feel the Rangers broke us in generally yesterday. They're really putting us to the test today. See if the white guy can handle this sort of stuff. But, every 5 minutes we have to deal with these things. Take these off.
This expedition is hard going for us all. We've been tracking for several hours and feeling exhausted. Then suddenly, the mood of my team changes.
He's gone into a stalk, just like a big cat. Slowly. He didn't say anything, but just watch him now. I think he's hoping there's going to be a rhino not far off. What's amazing about Francis is that as he goes in, I can't even hear the gun. There's loads of twigs. Maximum respect.
We move in closer, careful to make as little noise as possible. And then, brilliant news.
This is one of the active wallow rhino, and the rhino came there, so we can see some footprints there over there. This is quite fresh. It's nearly 1 or 2 days. Most probably there's 1 day before the rain. So the rhino is moving up towards some other wallows. Right. Okay,
Dr. Thai said that this trail is maybe 2 days old because of the rains, but that doesn't mean that the rhino is 2 days away. It could be really close. But what's really important to me now is that this trail is shared by everything. It's coming through a narrow point here. I can see that the deer are also here, the sambar and the rhino sharing the same trail. Yes, please, more. Let's go.
We've identified a great area, footprints and a natural funnel for animal movement. This is an exciting find. The recent rain means that this animal has been here within the last 2 days.
Well, tracking is all about a crime scene investigation, thought process, and Dr. Thaya has seen loads of things in here. I just want him to tell me about, what do you see, Dr. Thaya?
Okay, so this is one of the main active wallow that rhino frequently using. So once we come here, that we can find these footprints. What is happened that day before, that's heavy rain and washed off this area, but still we can see the fresh shines. Those are the horn marks.
Which bits are the horn marks here?
Rhinos have a prominent 2 horns, but the front one is a bit prominent and larger. What they will do while they're wallowing, they used to sharpen their horn, and in the meantime they're extending the wallow. So these are the clear and fresh horn marks. And we can find some hair samples on the wall if you go close to that wallow.
Wow, I'd love to find a hair. Let's see if we can get in there.
Yeah, but carefully, you have to come from that side and I'll go.
My first time in a rhino's wallow, and it's certainly very sticky.
Yeah. These are the hair samples. Usually while they are scratching their body, it will stick onto the wall. This is the only hairy rhino in the world, and they have a hair on their ears and then top of their body and then the legs. So wherever that we find the wallows, so we usually finding the hairs.
Hair is not just evidence that a rhino has been here. With a follicle attached, it can be used to DNA fingerprint the animal it came from. This helps to assess population numbers and is a vital part of Dr. Thaya's research.
I really feel I'm getting to know the Sumatran rhino much better. First of all, it's tracks. Now it's a wallow, and now I've got a hair and some horn marks. Absolutely brilliant.
For today, we've been able to complete our task and set up a camera trap. So we're heading back through this unforgiving rainforest. Then suddenly, I find out that some of the greatest dangers here are almost unseen.
Things can happen really quickly in the jungle. Just walking along, and suddenly I felt loads of wriggling across my eye. I think it's a leech, but first thing I want to do, keep my eye closed and get rid of it. Dr. Thai, can you pull it off for me, please?
Okay. It's inside there, okay. Okay, now you can open that.
It's funny, you know, in the anticoagulant has made it slightly numb. It's a very interesting feeling. Is that it? No, there's another one.
Yeah, it's really dangerous. Usually they will be catching to your cornea, so it can damage your cornea, but it's lucky it's on the eyebrow. So you save your eyes really today.
Right. Emergency over, we continue to head back to camp. Meanwhile, Simon and his team are still hacking their way towards their wallow. And then they come across an encouraging sign.
This one was the footprint of the rhino, or badak, as they call it here.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going down the trail that we're following down now. So maybe we're in the right direction.
A good clue, but when they reach the wallow, there is no sign of a rhino. Both our teams have now reached their respective wallows and set up a camera trap. These cameras will almost certainly be the best chance I will get to see the Sumatran rhino during this visit to Borneo. It really is proving to be every bit as elusive as Dr. Thaya warned. But back at base camp, we discover that other animals are far easier to find.
Just had dinner and it's way too early to go to bed. I've heard loads of frogs the last few nights. And just on our doorstep, right next to the camp, is a beautiful river. Borneo is famous for its frogs. So let's go and have a look.
There are around 150 species of frogs found in Borneo, and 80 of them are endemic. They exist nowhere else in the world. So what better place for a frog safari?
There's something on that branch over there. Who's that? Yeah, there's frog. Up close to this frog, it's absolutely astoundingly beautiful. He's got sticky little feet, lovely eyes, and he's got this amazing camouflage. But he's just beautifully agile. There's just something amazingly captivating about this frog. This little chap is green, really well camouflaged for being on leaves and climbing up trees. But as he actually goes onto my hand, I can feel he's so delicate and very, very sticky. It's a really nice feeling. I could almost do it with a frog massage. Makes a nice change to the leeches.
The life cycle of frogs, like other amphibians, consists of 4 main stages: egg, tadpole, metamorphosis, and adult. A female usually lays frog spawn in water, but these eggs and the parents themselves are extremely vulnerable to predators. So to protect themselves, the flesh of many frogs contain mild toxins that make them unpalatable.
Oh yeah, there's the poison one, huh?
Oh, look, whoa.
Usually these kind of frogs, they have a glands on their skin they secrete to protect them. And so it's really a bitter taste. So that is the reason the snake cannot attack this kind of frog.
If I touch that frog, what would happen to me?
You will get some kind of problems, but I never touched this one.
In the natural world, new species are discovered as well as lost all the time. And the dense environment of the Borneo jungle is a rich hunting ground. In 2007, a completely unique species of frog was discovered here. Unlike all other frogs, it doesn't need lungs. Instead, it absorbs oxygen through its skin. These rainforests are truly amazing.
It was a great evening's entertainment. Tomorrow I've got much bigger things to find, so now it's time to hit my hammock.
But before I can do that, I have to deal with a different and more worrying nocturnal creature that lives here.
Crikey, we're just getting ready to go to bed, and look at the size of that spider. It's got, oh my God, look at the size of its fangs. If it jumps, I'm out of here.
This huntsman spider may not be a danger to humans, but that doesn't mean I want to share my tent with it.
Come on, big guy, out.
The next day, both teams again head out in opposite directions. Accompanied by Dr. Thayer, I'm heading to the west of the rhino's territory, while Simon makes his way to the east. We've been tracking for several hours through this unforgiving rainforest. It's tough going, some of the hardest conditions I've tracked in. It's slippery, humid, it often rains, and there are few pathways. And it's also proving a challenge for Simon and his team.
Certainly hard going through this ginger, so especially in today's heat, but hopefully that means that it's all good news for us with the rhino, that it's going to slow it down and make it want to cool down.
But here, weather conditions quickly change, and because rhinos use wallows to cool down, rain is not good news for us. But with a stroke of luck, Simon's team find evidence of rhino that's far easier to spot than prints.
So we just followed the track through the pouring rain, and just as we thought we were all giving up, we found the fresh tracks leading all the way up to this little special area. And here we have the fresh rhino dung. The boys say it's 3 days old, maybe 4 days old tops.
For the expedition team, this fresh dung is a great find. Like hair follicles, it contains the genetic fingerprint of the animal it came from. It will be analysed and the results used to assess rhino numbers in the reserve. It's a great find for Simon, but I'm yet to reach my wallow and the conditions aren't helping. One thing about the rainforest is that it rains, and as if things weren't difficult enough, it's bucketing down, and there's no point in putting anything waterproof on because it's just like a sauna underneath. But as the weather lets up, Dr. Thayer and I finally reach our destination. The tension's just electrifying every time we come up to a wallow. The local tracker France goes ahead and he creeps up to it, checks it out, and then we know if it's there or not. But it's one of these really high points, and every time I listen to him, I think he's going to go rhino, but this time, no luck.
So the location is there, so we can fix the camera. So usually rhino is coming from that place. They spend there and then used to go to this trail. So this is a nice place to fix the cameras.
Brilliant, good idea. Tighten it up. Well, this is where it's really all good stuff because we've put the camera traps up. And now the doctor's going to mark it on the GPS. I just love this technology. It makes it so much easier to kind of build up this database. But also the thing that makes me feel really good about this, even though we might not find the Sumatran Rhino, having seen it in operation and seen how the guys are coming in and building up a sort of picture, if you like, is really good news, really exciting. It's been another tough day, but a successful one. Both teams found their wallow and set up more camera traps. But there is still plenty to do when we return to base camp. It's been a long day, traipsing through the jungle all day long. Pouring rain, loads of nasty insects. Time to get the kettle on now. And dry my clothes out, do a leech check, make sure there are no leeches left on me, and have a nice cup of tea. Part of the camp routine is get back, wash your leech socks, because at the moment I've just got 20 or 30 leeches on my socks. But all I can say is look at that, they're all over the place. I'm really grateful for that. Go. Oh, thank you. There you go. They get everywhere, literally. I had some in my hair earlier on, another one on my finger. Ah! One of the other problems being in the jungle is you get really damp feet. And they go like what we call hippopotamus feet or wrinkly. So I'm going to wash these off and dry them off as quickly as possible. Otherwise you get trench foot and you get foot rot. They feel horrible. The conditions here are relentless. It would be easy to quickly lose heart. So it's important to dig deep and learn from past experience. There's mud everywhere and there's rain. It reminds me of like a rock festival 4 days in where it's just a quagmire all over the place. But on top of that, we've got leeches, we've got all sorts of other stinging bugs, big spiders and snakes. And just getting into tune with this area is a skill all of its own to get into the heartbeat. And what I've discovered in the past is that once you stop fighting it and go with the flow, life becomes a lot easier. You don't have to worry about struggling against it. And that's what I call nooming. It's a technique I learned in the Kalahari Desert from the Bushmen. Just go with the flow and life becomes a lot easier. We have now checked all of the wallows to the east and to the west. We've found recent prints and dung, but so far, no rhino. So, as a last resort, Dr. Thayer knows of one final area that may be worth checking. The only thing is, it's the most dangerous of all to get to. We're moving really quickly now. What's the reason for that?
We need to come out fast because once rains, this whole area is really flooded, so we cannot pass through this area.
Well, that makes good sense. The doctor knows all about river safety here because the last thing we want to do is to be cut off by these endless rivers on our way back to camp. It's easy to see why this has been left as a last resort. It's the most treacherous hike I've been on, It's taking up valuable time and energy, and on this expedition, time and energy seem to have been in short supply. And then it gets even more hazardous.
What we're going to have to do now is scale up these slippery boulders as far as we can see. This treacherous waterfall just keeps going on and on. It goes deeper and deeper into the jungle. It reminds you of something out of the lost world.
We continue to push on higher and higher. This waterfall seems to be without end.
And just when I thought we're coming to the top at this rock pool here, it looks like it keeps going. But it's amazingly beautiful, fallen trees, magical place.
After a grueling slog through the jungle and up this cascade, we finally reach our destination.
After all that effort and climbing up the waterfall, we've checked all the wallows in the area, and it looks like we've pulled out a blank here.
On the basis of his previous research, Dr. Thai had been hopeful that this last resort would deliver the result we'd spent days searching for. But it wasn't to be.
I'm really confused that where this rhino, because 6 days before only we found the fresh signs in the eastern part, and there's only the chance that rhino could be here, but we couldn't find any signs now with any fish. So I'm really blank.
It's a huge disappointment to us all. It had been the final place left for us to search, but in the end, we were no closer to this elusive animal.
Well, the Sumatran Rhino is playing cat and mouse with us all of the time. One thing for sure I know is bucketing down a tropical rainstorm. We've got to get back to camp before that waterfall fills up and we're cut off.
This was our last chance to see a rhino in the flesh. All hopes are now pinned on the camera traps left at the other wallows. In the morning, the local guides head off to collect all the traps. The suspense is nerve-wracking, so to pass the time, Dr. Thai and I head out to look for some other animals that share this rainforest with the rhino.
Everything in the jungle, especially the bugs, are bigger than anywhere else that I've ever seen. What is that?
It's a wood lice. Once anyone touch this one for their safety, they will be covered themselves. If you keep this for a while, then they will be open.
Your usual wood louse is about the size of my little finger, maybe half of that. This thing, look at the size in Dr. Thai's hand, it's just half the size of his palm. It's got to be at least 100, maybe 1,000 times bigger than the average wood louse I'm used to seeing.
The rainforests of Borneo are some of the most biodiverse on the planet. It's estimated there are over 200 species of mammals here, over 400 of bird, 100 of amphibians, and around 15,000 species of plants. In the last 10 years, 360 new animal species have been discovered, most of which were insects. No wonder we've seen lots of bugs on this expedition, but the well-concealed stick insects haven't been so easy to spot until now.
This is the first time I'm seeing this color. So I saw some other colors as green and the brown colors, but this is with multiple colors, and this is the first time I'm seeing.
I'm used to seeing like a brown or black or green sort of version in school insectoriums. But this chap is literally so beautiful, yellow and orange. Every time I turn this leaf over, this stick insect goes to the other side, and I can see exactly what he's doing here is he's trying to flatten himself into the contour of the leaf. but I can also see that his body looks like part of the stem of the leaf, and his legs here look like the other parts that come out, the sort of veins into the leaf.
Stick insects thrive in forests and grasslands, feeding only on leaves. But not all the insects we come across are vegetarian.
I come here to see rhino, but this is just as spectacular. Doctor, can you tell me something about these?
So these are fire ants.
Amazing teamwork going on there. They're just such a beautiful blue color. Are they really dangerous?
They are really, really very poisonous. So if you put your hands or your legs, they will be bite hard, and if 100 of ants bites, then you cannot move the hands for a week.
Well, crikey, one thing for sure, I don't want to mess these ants up because they're going to go crazy. I think we should keep going.
Sure, we don't want to disturb them.
These bugs have been a great distraction, but we've been waiting all day for the rangers to pick up the cameras. And I'm really anxious to see if we've managed to capture a rhino on them. On the way back, I'm rewarded with the sight of one of Borneo's other endangered animals.
It's just such a result. Up in the trees, there's some orangutans. Perfect. Just heading back to camp, and as usual, you get really lucky with something like that. I've always wanted to see an orangutan in the wild.
We return to camp and there is exciting news. 2 of the camera traps have been activated. This could be my first glimpse of a rhino in the wild.
The next is rhino is going to come across on this camera trap.
Honestly.
I'm going to jump from here to down, really.
Okay, right, Dr. Thayer. Let's have a look at these camera traps, see what's happened. Turn on, keep your fingers crossed. Let's see what's happening now.
Oh,
Oh, wow. Little monkjack.
It's not the animal I've come all this way to see, but at least the camera traps are working brilliantly.
It's quite rare to find 2 together, isn't it?
Yeah, usually they are going to
Yeah.
2 animals. One
Yeah.
male, so the one is male, and yeah, this is male, and the other one is female.
Look at that. Okay, well, let's try another one.
Yeah, sure.
The final video from the camera traps. Could this be the rhino we've been working so hard to see?
What happens? Whoa.
What is it? Oh,
What do you reckon?
It's a wild boar.
Wild boar.
I seriously first I thought there is a small, there's 2 rhinos. I saw the back.
Despite our best efforts, the camera traps weren't able to find us the rhino this time. But Dr. Thayer has a treat in store for me.
Max, in case if you don't believe that the rhinos exist, I'm going to show something to you first.
From his 4 years of looking for this animal, Dr. Thayer's one sighting wasn't just a passing glimpse. Whenever he's looking for a rhino, he also takes a video camera.
So how did you find her?
I saw the fresh print first. So the follow the prints actually is quietly nearly 2 kilometers. Then I heard a sound. Something is inside the wallow. Then really I went very quietly near to the wallow. Then suddenly I saw the glimpse of this rhino.
This video is one of only a few documented records in recent times of a wild Sumatran rhino. To film it has been an amazing achievement for Dr. Thayer.
It's so happy, and I really achieved something in my lifetime. For my past 4 years work, I feel like I achieved something, but still I have a lot to do for these rhinos, really.
Do you know what, Dr. Thayer? Dr. Thayer's getting really emotional at this point, yeah? And I've been there myself. And I can feel with my hand on his shoulder that he's shaking and his eyes are filled with emotion. But
yeah, it's kind of happiness, really. And I worked for past 4 years. I came across with several fresh signs, but I couldn't see this animal. And finally, I came across with this animal. It's a feeling I never had in my life.
This has been my toughest quest yet. The elements were against us all of the time, and I hoped with the camera traps would be our last chance to catch some pictures. But who knows, with the work going on from SOS Rhino here, I might be able to come back one day and see a thriving population of the Sumatran rhino.
I'm Ian Maxwell, and I'm a tracker. Animals and people, they're both fair game. I'm on a quest to track wild creatures in some of the most hostile environments on Earth. Among them are rare and endangered species, so I'll be joined by locals and experts to take on this mammoth challenge. Each journey is certain to be a breathtaking adventure where I'll learn new skills and be pushed to the limit. But however determined I am, there are no guarantees. In this episode, I'll find great prints.
Jaguar tracks. They are hot. They're red hot.
All in the search for the elusive jaguar in Brazil. I've come to Brazil to track the jaguar in the Amazon basin. The one big cat I've never seen in the wild before. My challenge is not an easy one, so to increase my chances, I first head inland to the Pantanal, the world's largest freshwater wetland, where I'm going to learn from local trackers all about jaguar and how to find it. I'll then put my skills to the test when I head off to the harsh Amazon basin. There, the stifling heat and humidity will also make this a tough physical challenge as I search for the elusive jaguar. When I arrive at Campo Grande, the gateway to the Pantanal, I'm met by Uli, my guide and translator while I'm here. As always in a new country, local knowledge is key to getting good results. So Uli introduced me to Captain Ednilson of the Polícia Militar Ambiental, Brazil's police force for rural areas.
Wow, look at that. That's my first jaguar.
This may look like a weird collection, but all these stuffed animals are used by the police to provide much needed education about conservation and poaching.
Wow. That is incredible. Compared to a leopard is about that thickness all the way down. One of the most important things about tracking is intimate visualization of the animal. To imagine how soft its fur is, how big its ears are, and how its eyes, etc. So this is really useful for me to see this here. I think this animal was well fed. It had eaten a lot of cows.
Não, ela está no tamanho normal.
Bem forte, né? No, it's not fat. This is
normal. This is normal. Suddenly, I wasn't actually worried about tracking jaguars, but having seen this one now, I've got some serious trepidation about tracking it. We've got to be really careful. It's massive.
My very first close encounter with the jaguar, but I hope it won't be my last. For the next few days, I'll be staying here, Fazenda San Francisco, just one of the 2,500 farms that divide up the Pantanal. 3 million head of cattle roam an area about the size of England and Wales. But with wild animals living side by side with these farmed cattle, it's not uncommon for a jaguar to take them for a kill. So for the cowboys who herd them, the jaguar is never far from their thoughts. I'm keen to learn more. The problem is, there's only one way to meet a cowboy busy herding cattle.
That's the first time I've ever ridden a horse, but I had some good instruction for about 5 minutes. Can't say I'm totally confident yet. Fernande is going to be really good to me out here, Fernande.
The jaguar is listed as endangered. There could be as few as 15,000 left in the wild. They're hunted for their fur, and deforestation has resulted in the loss of habitat and prey. So the reasons are clear why they may be easier to spot in the Pantanal.
Just look at this concentration of cattle. And every cow or every calf makes a good meal for a jaguar. So I can see why there are problems with jaguars sometimes coming onto a farm to predate on these cattle.
My maiden horse ride is going well, but as we attempt a river crossing, Fernandez decides to show who's boss.
We were coming across the river and my horse decided to lie down and cool off with me on the back, which is a bit of a surprise. This is a real crash course in horse riding. First of all, crossing a river with the cattle, and then my horse decides to lie down mid-river. Well, I got back up on her anyway, slightly wet.
I have to take a picture. This is... It's for your photo.
But I've not come all this way just to take an early bath. Uli has brought me here to meet a fiança, a local cowboy who's had first-hand experience of the Jaguar.
Ela saiu e levantou assim no pescoço aqui do cavalo para pegar mais ou menos aqui assim, ó.
Wow, on their way home, they just came close to a bush. And suddenly out of the bush jumped the jaguar and attacked his horse, more or less here in this area. He started to scream and the jaguar sat back, maybe ready to jump again, but then decided to move back into the bush.
Até então ela a fazer isso com a gente.
Você não tinha medo antes?
Não.
Agora você tem medo?
Agora pouco.
That's interesting, yeah. Before this attack, he had no fear of the jaguar. Now he has.
You've had a terrible experience with the onça, but does it still make you very proud to have a jaguar living near here?
É, muito bonito ele. Eu ainda acho dos animais mais bonitos do Pantanal.
He still thinks that it's the most beautiful animal we have here in Pantanal.
Efianza's story was a timely reminder of just how dangerous and unpredictable the jaguar can be. The next day we have an early start. Uli and I are joined by Jasir, a local jaguar expert. I'm taken out to the plains of the Pantanal where he's seen signs of a fresh kill. Could this be the work of a jaguar?
Tracking is not just all about following footprints. It's a little bit of a CSI. And looking at this, I'm trying to work out how the animal was killed and then eaten.
There's no smell, so this dead rhea, a large flightless bird, is a fresh kill.
What I'm noticing here is that the scavengers haven't arrived yet. If you had vultures or other birds coming in here to remove bits and pieces, we'd find more of this bird scattered around. This bird has got massive injuries to one flank. If you imagine this cat has stalked it and perhaps jumped it from behind. And once it's slowed it down, it's then gone for the neck. What we've got here looks like the kill from perhaps a puma. There is a way of telling whether it's a puma or not. Generally, for an adult puma, the distance between a bite mark is about 2.54 centimeters, which would distinguish it from a dog attack. A dog attack would just have bits of feather all over the place, a bit like a lagerlout attacking someone. Whereas a puma is generally very precise in the way that it would kill a bird. Uniquely among big cats, jaguar jump on the backs of their victims and pierce the skull, causing instant death. But this time, a jaguar is not to blame. Later in the day, though, we find hard evidence that it's without question the mark of a jaguar. What we've got here is something I've never seen before. This is a site where two jaguar have been mating. All along in my mind, I tried to make what's happening a story, and looking at the fur here, I know that there was a bit of a fight and a pull and a bit of a shake and a hold on. But also, I can smell a scent in this location which is really very sweet. And so the reason for this fur being here is for mating. It's obviously jaguar because we can see the black and the yellow form the rosette. So if we turned that to be like that and we had more of it, we would see its spots. Along with the jaguar, the Pantanal is home to an abundance of wildlife, from capybara, the world's largest rodent, to caiman and marsh deer. There's capybara all over the place. They're one of my favorite animals. I love their snout, and I know that they may be not the most charismatic. In my opinion, they're one of the most beautiful animals I've ever seen. Just look at that chap there. He slipped into the water just as stealthily as a croc, and off they go. Capybara are really cute animals, but they've got food written all over them. They are the main prey for the jaguar. Where you find the capybara, the jaguar won't be far behind. We move on away from the peaceful-looking capybara, but the riverbank is also home to far more deadly-looking residents. Look at these caiman just along the riverbank here. They're all lined up and they're looking pretty mean. Look at the two big brothers. Do you hear the noise? The deep. That's a warning sign, but I think we could go a little bit closer. Can you hear it? Do you know what? I think we could go a little bit closer. We're safe enough. That was a bit of a hard stopper, wasn't it? That guy is really well camouflaged. Considering the caiman is part of the crocodile family, they're the supreme ambush predator. I love that caiman there with his mouth open. The reason he's doing that is to cool off. Typical reptiles, he needs to build his energy up in the sunshine. And then to regulate his temperature, his mouth is open. Amazingly enough, this caiman is part of the jaguar prey. Taking a capybara is one thing, but taking a caiman to eat is another thing. The size of teeth on these animals and the power of their tail is incredible, and I wouldn't want to have to eat one of these. Away from the farms, we move into woodland where jaguars are known to roam. You eventually find evidence of what can happen when caiman and jaguar come face to face. I find it difficult to explain how a caiman got into the middle of the forest, other than being killed by a jaguar and dragged into its larder. So I'm going to examine it in more detail to see if in fact it is the result of a jaguar kill. I turned the caiman over with my stick. It's a natural instinct because often it's a good place for a snake or scorpion or big spider to go and live underneath something. And it's the same smell every time that we come across a dead animal. There's that really putrid stink, although this animal's been dead for a long time. When I turned it over, it was full of ants. So what the jaguar or predator didn't eat, the ants have stripped it away, and I can tell that by how clean the bones are. Inside the skull, there's a bit of bone that's splintered, and fractured. And that could be the result of the jaguar's teeth penetrating the skull of this caiman.
Another kill, and this time with a pierced skull. Strong evidence that it was the work of a jaguar. Once thought to be nocturnal, research has shown that jaguars can be active round the clock, but mostly during dawn and dusk. So when they're not out hunting, they need a safe place to rest up, and a hollowed out tree makes an ideal lair.
This is where real caution is required. I'm going to have a quick track around before we go anywhere near it. Let's have a look.
Although we think the lair is unused, with wild animals you can never be sure. To disturb a jaguar in its lair is full of danger, so we approach with caution.
I just put my nose in there. Of course, I made sure there's nothing else in there. There's a very strong smell of urine.
We're in luck. The smell of urine suggests recent jaguar activity.
Here in the jungle, we're not far off a jaguar. It could be just literally 2 or 3 meters away and we wouldn't know about it.
After learning from Jasir about the jaguar's habits, how it kills and feeds, Uli and I head off by boat away from the farmland. Crisscrossed by streams and rivers, the waters of the Pantanal are an ideal place to continue our search. I'll need to learn all I can before heading off to the Amazon basin, where I'll put my new skills to the test. Jaguar like water. They use it to hunt and to cross territory. Riverside beaches offer the perfect place to find prints quickly. If a clearing looks suitable, we'll stop to investigate.
We're looking for trails that go through into the jungle or into the forest. But the most important thing that we're looking for here is tunnels through the vegetation that could be used by lots of animals. It could be used by a caiman, but also used by a jaguar that's coming down here to either to hunt or to cool off or to drink.
Upriver, we begin to see many of the prey that the jaguar feed on. Capybara and monkeys are an encouraging sign, but by far the most abundant animal here is our old friend, the fearsome-looking caiman.
This place is crawling with caiman, and there's a technique used on the Zambezi that I've seen before. And you can tell the size of a croc by the size of its spines on the back of its tail. There's one just on my side here that's lying halfway in and halfway out, and he's a pretty fearsome chap.
Observing this caiman, an impressive 8-foot specimen, further demonstrates to me how strong and ferocious the jaguar must be. No wonder it's known as the thug of the jungle. As we continue, it's not long before we come across an ideal place to make our first stop.
Okay, we're going to go ashore because we've found a brilliant place to look for these jaguar tracks. I'm glad we came ashore here, and I'm glad we made the journey all the way up the river, because on the checklist of animals they're all here. But this one here is particularly interesting because it looks a little bit like a human's hand. I've seen this kind of track all over the world for any kind of monkey, but it's always refreshing to know, because if you got the prey, then you got the predator.
The monkey tracks, my first tracks in the Pantanal, are a good start. Finding prints of jaguar prey suggests we could be in the right place. But they're not what I'm really after, so with another suitable looking beach on the opposite bank, we cross to investigate. and we strike gold. At last, Jaguar tracks.
Look at that beauty. If we see that in the Amazon, and if it was fresher, we're onto a hot trail. Sometimes you can see the claw marks in the Jaguar's tracks, especially when it's soft kind of mud and sand. And as it's moved along here, it started to look up. And I can see this is a big male because it's quite chunky, whereas the female one is quite slender and a little bit feminine. Look at that claw mark there. And I've never seen something quite as distinct as this for the claw marks on a big cat.
And not far from these tracks, we come across yet more evidence that we're in a jaguar's territory.
I've just seen something in there, and it looks like it could be a jaguar kill. I'm going to get a little bit closer and have a look. Any big cats, they've got a larder, so they'll take a kill and then they stuff it in somewhere. And I've found this all over the world. One of the ways this jaguar might have actually killed this capybara is by grabbing it by the throat and a huge wrench. Oof. And that's probably why we've got this huge curve in its spine, because the jaguar just grabbed it like that, killed it, and then dragged it in. What would have happened is the jaguar would have actually eaten the soft organs first from the underbelly. So it would have gone in this way, eaten all of this off, and then gone into the heart and lungs to eat those. It really does smell.
Sandy beaches are great for finding tracks, but even better are mud banks. And after cutting into the forest, I eventually find what I'm after.
I'm lost for words. This is like Christmas. Just a couple of meters down there in soft mud is what we're looking for.
This mud flat is full of tracks, and because thick mud holds its shape for longer than sand, they're all in great condition.
This riverbank is why I track. It's so exciting. It's like a portrait of animals. There's two different jaguar moving in this area, old tracks, there's new tracks, different directions. So it's not just a pathway through. We could see the jaguar kind of comes out the water, heads on up here, and sets a trail in this direction and then up the riverbank. What I'm going to do is track the track that's active. In other words, the track, if we pulled a piece of string, the animal would be at the end of it.
As the trail leads further upriver, the tracks seem to cross to the other bank. Here we find jaguar tracks, but not the ones we've been looking for.
This track is not exactly fresh. I'd say it's probably about a day or 2 days old. And I could tell that because the edge of the tracks, when they're put down, are very sharp, and gravity takes over almost immediately, and the track starts to lose its definition. So I don't think that this trail is worth following at this time of night. We really do want to get out of this forest as soon as possible.
Last night's trail went cold, but as the following day comes to an end, we have news that's red hot. A big cat has been sighted prowling nearby. Time is of the essence if I want to see my first jaguar.
But this is a really exciting time of night because all the predators are out. I've just seen a few now. And as we move along, we're going so quickly. In the water courses just down here, there's some really massive caiman. They're really exciting, but they're not what we're after. We're after jaguar. Okay, now we've actually sped up. The vehicle's going really fast. The guy has literally seen something. He's sitting in the back there with binoculars on. My heart's beating. It's really exciting. It's like a hunt, it's like a chase. Okay, we've got a visual of a jaguar in the road. The hairs on the back of my neck have gone up. Sometimes I can never believe my luck when I'm tracking. Because that male jaguar is actually coming towards us, so we're going to stay really quiet, really silent here.
I can hardly believe my eyes. My first jaguar in the wild. But this is posturing behaviour and a clue that I may be in for a real treat.
Sometimes big cats use vehicles as cover to hunt or to have territorial disputes. And I have a sneaky suspicion tonight that there's going to be a dispute. The way that male approached us rather confidently, there's a chance that there's going to be a fight tonight.
So we stay with this cat until nightfall to see just what will happen when Jaguar come face to face.
Might not be all that clear on camera, but probably about 100 or 120 meters away, we've got some eyes just on the left-hand side. There we go, the double blaze.
We slowly move closer to try and get a better sighting of this big cat.
There's more than one jaguar here, there's actually two. One's lying down and the other one is now trying to move silently. Just like any old cat, it's trying to place its paws where it won't make any noise, won't crack any branches or stand on any leaves. And this is amazing to see this at night. Just watch what it does with its paws. It'll place them very, very carefully. What that cat's doing is called direct registration. It puts its paws, its back paw, right exactly where its front paw was. See that? Best example I've ever seen. Look at it. Now, that's interesting. The big male we saw a few minutes ago, it was crashing through the bushes. This one here, you can't even hear it. It's so silent because it's putting its back paw exactly where the front paw was.
And as this cat moves onto the road, it's joined by others.
We had two, but not only just two, we've now got 3 jaguar together. And according to our local tracker, this is very rare and never been seen before.
Jaguars are normally solitary territorial predators. With this rare occurrence, what will happen next is anyone's guess.
It's like a gang of 2 jaguar against 1. And it looks like the 2 are ganging up against the 1. And then they made a gentle contact with each other. But it can't be a real fight yet, because imagine the damage they do to each other. So maybe they're part of the same group of jaguars, the same family, and they were cubs together.
As the cats head into the bush, we decide to slowly move up to where they disappeared. If we're lucky, we may get a final sighting. And incredibly, just on our left-hand side is an impressive male staring back at us. Unfazed by our lights and looking completely relaxed.
And there, just a few meters away, is the other jaguar. It's almost as though when we had that fight earlier on, that the dispute is over. What appeared to be at first a big dominant male has seemed to become more submissive after that fight. We can't see him at the moment. It looks like these 2 here are much more content than they were before that scrap.
It's just incredible being this close to a jaguar. I almost want to go up and actually give him a stroke, scratch his ears.
But I've got a feeling I'll get a scratch back.
He knows we're here, and I don't know if he thinks he's safe because we're around and is just going to lay low until we move off. But one thing is for sure, I couldn't have hoped for more from my time in the Pantanal. It's an experience that will stay with me forever. I've seen the jaguar, but it's not the end of my journey. I want to find this cat in its challenging jungle habitat. It won't be easy, but with all I've learned, I'm confident that I'll be able to complete my quest and find the jaguar in the Amazon basin. After meeting my guides Fernando and Alejandro, it's not long before we arrive at our base camp, a lodge on the edge of the Cristalina River. This is like food for the soul. Totally different to Pantanal. I know it's not going to be easy here. Just going to have to re-energize and zone into the area. The Amazon rainforest is vast, covering an area of over 2 million square miles. It represents over half of the planet's remaining rainforest. Whereas the Pantanal was sprawling and open, the Amazon is dense and close, and the hot and humid conditions make this a greater challenge for me to track in. The rainforest contains unparalleled biodiversity. More than 1/3 of all species living in the world are to be found here. But I'm after just one, the jaguar. But before I get on the trail of this big cat, something else catches my eye literally. This is an evil-looking plant. Look, it's covered in spikes. Are those thorns or spikes poisonous?
Well, not poisonous, but because of the muscle contractions, if you put this on your flesh, the muscle will push, so it will go against you. And there are some myths that say that it crawls through the veins and through to the heart.
Through to the heart?
Yes. But it's
great. I'm so happy. I was really enjoying the jungle, but I'm having second thoughts because you almost want to grab a hold of something in the jungle and do what I did there, got spiked. Hopefully it's not going to go through to my heart though.
No.
When tracking, you must pay attention to your environment at all times. We push deeper into the forest and then suddenly movement up ahead. Could this be our first jaguar in the Amazon?
Tracking wildlife like this, sometimes you have to move very quickly to get into your position. So I'm going to move as quickly as I can.
Then, in the undergrowth, I find a clue that could identify the animal ahead.
We found some scat, but it's peccary scat. I'm just checking to see how fresh it is. It's only a few minutes old.
The peccary is a kind of forest-dwelling boar. They're close, and my guides know a spot where we can get a better look at this jaguar prey.
With a herd of this size, there will definitely be a jaguar in the vicinity, waiting to pick off the weakest.
Understanding the behavior of the jaguar's prey could be the difference between finding the jaguar or not. To learn how they react to danger, I've got something up my sleeve.
I've got a device here which makes the same sound as a jaguar. I want to see what the peccary do.
The device worked, but I want to see what happens if I do my own impression of the jaguar.
When I vocalized, they went quiet. They didn't do their teeth chatter. And the reason for that is because they thought that the jaguar is so close that their teeth chatter is going to be no use at all. So they were thinking, if I sneak off silently, there's more chance of survival and getting some distance between myself and the jaguar. But also, what we noticed was there were two big peccary that left last. And this characteristic sentry behavior is what would actually happen with most herd animals. Those two sentries at the back would hopefully chase off a jaguar.
On the way back to base camp, we come across some animal droppings worth investigating. The first thing that I notice, it doesn't smell good at all. Oof. And if I was to judge the age of this, it's less than 1 week. So we know that certainly there's an animal here, and hopefully this is within its home range or its core territory. As I get into this, there's lots of hair and bits of skin that are pushed together, and then around the bone or femur of a smaller mammal. This is a claw from a paca. It's a large rodent and it's a favourite food of the jaguar. But other cats, like the smaller jaguarundi, also prey on the paca. And because of the age of this scat, the evidence is too inconclusive to say whether this is a jaguar or not. This scat is just covered in insects, and this butterfly's just arrived. It's a good example of why a scat doesn't stay fresh for very long. Certainly, it's an opportunity for them to feed, and quite soon, the termites will arrive and clean up what everyone else has left behind. In other parts of the world that I've tracked, I've found scat intact for months afterwards. But here, in the rainforest, where this scat is a food opportunity for all kinds of things, these wasps and the butterfly, is a good reason why scat doesn't stay around for very long. It's consumed and then it becomes part of the background. And so that's why tracking in the rainforest and jungle is a much greater challenge than anywhere else in the world that I've tracked. Yesterday was a great help in understanding more about the jaguar's prey in the Amazon, but I'm anxious to get away from the lodge and out into the unknown. And unsurprisingly, in the Amazon, boat is the best method of covering a lot of ground quickly. We're going to an area we've never been before. We're going a lot further up the river in the search for some lagoons.
It's a place where the vegetation gets lower and we don't have terra firme forest. It's always flooded. It's like many Mauritia palms and
mangrove swamp.
It's like this. It's a completely different vegetation.
That's good news for us because we know the jaguar loves water. And every occasion we come across the jaguar tracks have been close to water. So it sounds like that's a good place to look for the jaguar in the swamp.
See, very good place.
Jaguar populations are currently declining and the animal could well be threatened with extinction in the near future. Although it won't be easy, I'm confident that with all I've learned, I'll be able to track a jaguar in the Amazon. At the moment we're looking for places where we can see it would have stepped in some sand or mud. We might get to see some scat, or even better, catch a glimpse of the jaguar. Eventually we find what we are really after, an ideal place to pull off the river and start tracking. See that white beach over there? I'm going to go ashore on that and have a quick look round. Keep my fingers crossed. This is a really good start to our river journey. I've got tracks of all kinds of things here. We've got a crab-eating fox. We've got tapir. Not only that, but they're very fresh. And we've got some sand that's been dug back, probably by a fox, but it could so easily have been a jaguar. Out of luck on this occasion, but with the light good, there's still time to find the tracks we're after. I think what I want to do now is keep doing the same thing, but keep pushing on upriver. But before we find a suitable place to stop, another animal catches my attention. I knew I could smell something that had died. Because of the wind direction, we've come a little bit upriver to follow the smell, and that's what's caused it. Could this be my first signs of jaguar activity in the Amazon? Alexandra, who's our specialist with us at the moment, has bravely offered to pick the armadillo up and have a look to see if there's any evidence of a kill.
Pegou. Pesadinha.
Can smell it now. Although it smells of death, it's quite fresh. And Alexandra has just done a quick autopsy and told us it was death by natural causes. It's a shame that we had to go through that. I can't describe the smell of a dead armadillo in the rainforest, but it was just before lunch. And I gotta say I'm starving hungry, but it's put a bit of a blanket on the appetite. This time it's not a jaguar kill, so it's back onto the river to continue our search for another sandbank and perhaps new jaguar tracks. Do you know, these capybara confuse me so much. I think I might have a jaguar track, but before I commit to it, I'm going to look a bit further back. So not just the one single jaguar or track, I'm going to look for more. Just in case a capybara track on a capybara track turns out to be a jaguar. Got jaguar. This, I'm 100% sure we got jaguar tracks. That is our first jaguar track in the Amazon basin. Yes. Whew, we know they're here. Woo! Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, good.
Hey, yo. Yes.
It's very good.
What do you reckon, jaguar?
Yeah,
They live in the Amazon basin on the Cristalina River.
Here.
Jaguars are in the area, but with the light fading, we quickly find a place to make camp. 20 to 6 at night, and it's going to be dark very soon. The temperature's got to be 30, 32, and the sweat is pouring off me. But I know I've got to get this up quick. I've got to get a fire on really quickly because within a few minutes, not only will the sun start to go away and disappear, but the bugs will be out. And it'll be like coughing and eating through solid bugs. So I'm in a bit of a hurry to get myself sorted, regroup for later on tonight and set the camera traps. Time is now against us. As we hurry to set the traps, I'm reminded of the potential dangers to be found in the forest. This is a beautiful, beautiful tree boa.
Eating the bats, like this, eat the bats.
We leave the snake to carry on catching its prey, and eventually we find an area which looks suitable for the camera trap. We've got a trail along here which is used by something, but we're not exactly sure. And there is a junction coming past us behind me on my back. So what I want to do is I want to see what's using the trail overnight. I'm going to put a camera trap out. And the camera trap basically will catch anything that moves past here. And it will use infrared light to illuminate the animal and take a picture. The camera is set. I'm going to leave the area quietly now. Come back in the morning to see what's happened. Will this night camera finally prove there is a jaguar in the area? The next day, I head off to retrieve the camera trap. On the way, I find more evidence of jaguar passing through here during the night. I heard about this forest road, that there might be jaguars on. And what do I see? Jaguar tracks. But I don't just see jaguar tracks of one jaguar. There's two jaguars here. They're the ones here that I know are a sub-adult, next to its mom, which is just the other side, just a few inches away. But what to me is really, really exciting, these tracks are a matter of hours old. if not minutes. And the reason I know that is that the edges are still very sharp. Now imagine that a logging truck goes past here, it kicks up dust, and we went through tons of dust. And the dust gets sprinkled into the track. And there is no dust in these tracks. They are hot. They're red hot. The track showed the jaguar and cub heading in the direction of the camera. And when I arrive at the clearing, the signs are good that they may have been caught by my trap.
When we set the camera trap, we programmed it to take video, and something like 30 videos have been taken.
One of these videos could be of a jaguar, my best chance of seeing one in the Amazon. My heart is beating because I think we're going to get something on this camera. But as I scroll through the videos time and again, they're blank or inconclusive. It's so disappointing. Then, as we near the end... Oh! Something activated this camera, and I'm thinking something over here in the corner, just a back leg. Could this be the jackpot? Could this be pictures of a jaguar? Oh, look at that. Let's see if anything's behind it. Look at that. We've got a reflective eye, the blaze of an animal's eye, and I'm going to play this video. Oh. Did you see that?
Yeah.
It looked and turned. If it heads drop, it might be a tapir, or could be a jaguar. I'm seeing some ears on this, and I'm beginning to wonder. Might be a fox.
Fox, crab? Or
Crab fox?
No.
Crab-eating fox?
No.
Oh, yeah. Look at the nose.
Okay, tapir.
I thought we might have a jaguar, but on this clip here, it's only 10 seconds. There ain't no jaguar on this one. It's just a rather likable tapir. I came close to finding the jaguar in the Amazon basin, but it stayed one step ahead of me all the way. But as my time in Brazil comes to an end, I'm not disheartened. I feel reassured that for the jaguar, the vast Amazon rainforest is a refuge where they can go about their business without interference. And when I reflect on the 3 jaguar in the Pantanal, some of the rarest sights I've seen, I feel satisfied that I've been able to see this big cat in the wild.